I have some great news. Zoom just released their brand new and improved whiteboard. So my main question that I'm asking myself, is this going to be a killer of some of these popular digital whiteboard apps like Mural, Miro, or Google Jamboard? Are they now going to be redundant? I mean, I love keeping everyone in one platform on Zoom and don't risk losing them when I share a link in the browser. So I've been really excited to try out this new whiteboard that Zoom released in the last 2 weeks in my virtual facilitator community. And in this video, I'll share you exactly what do I love about it. There's a lot of things that I've been experimenting with, but I also see some challenges, and we'll talk about those because with every new tool, sometimes we find things that are really useful, and there's things that Zoom didn't deliver on that I was hoping for. So in this video, I'll share with you exactly how I've been using it. And the best part, at the very end, I will share some activities, some of my favorite activities to help increase connections and increase engagement and deepen connections for your virtual experiences. So if you're ready, I would say let's jump into Zoom and check it out. All right. Well, my name is Jan, by the way. You saw my title just a moment ago, and I help facilitators, trainers, course creators create more inclusive, engaging, and meaningful experiences. So hopefully you can create some more results for your participants, create some more transformations without getting overwhelmed by all the tech. So if you want more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed. But I am here in Zoom, so if you have updated already, you might have noticed this new button on the bottom here, which is the whiteboard. So I'm going to click that right now and we'll check it out. Let me just pop over here so you can still see me. So as you can see, there's a couple of whiteboards that I have already created, some that I will show you, but also we can easily create a new whiteboard. And if we click the check, allow attendees access after the meeting, everybody will have access after, which is one of the things that I love. I'll go more into the details about why. But also you want to make sure that all participants can edit and not just view. All you need to do is click open and collaborate. And let me move this over a little bit so you can see me here. Now we have our whiteboard, and there's a lot of really cool features that I'll go over one at a time. So let's jump into my list. First of all, the first thing that I love about this new whiteboard is what I just shared, the idea of being able to have access before and also after the meeting. So this means I can go in and set this all up beforehand. I can actually go in and share, if I share a different whiteboard that I actually have set up beforehand, like this word circle puzzle, I can have this all set up before the meeting, and then when we are in here, we can easily jump in and start editing on here. So this is a fun little activity where there's different words. Whoops, let me make sure this is centered, where there's different words on here that all are connected to two other words. So if you organize them in the right order, they will actually form a circle. So I actually created all of these post-its beforehand, and then when we start the meeting, we can get into the activity right away. The other cool thing is people have access to the whiteboard after the meeting. So if you create something spontaneous and you want to continue the conversations, if you want to continue working on what you've created, everyone has access. With the old whiteboard, if you didn't save it at the end, you actually would lose everything that you've worked on unless you record it and it got saved automatically. But this way, you're actually going to make sure that you're not losing anything, and you can still export things as PDFs and PNGs if you like. So let's jump into the next reason why I love this whiteboard, which is the sticky notes. You might have already seen them in this whiteboard. It's really easy to just click a sticky note by clicking that sticky note button on the side, dropping it somewhere. Let's zoom in a little bit. Hold on. Still need to get used to the keyboard shortcuts in here, because unfortunately this is one of the things that I wish was easier. Okay, let me put that here. I'll double click and then I can easily write my sticky note text on here. I can change the color of the sticky note. I have a few options, no custom options, but at least a few colors. I can make my text bold, align it different ways, italic, underline, and this is a pretty cool feature for all of the objects on the board. I can copy them, I can duplicate them, I can change the order and overlap certain objects, which all wasn't possible with the previous whiteboard. So the sticky note is maybe my favorite thing for brainstorming or just generating a bunch of ideas really quickly and having everyone create sticky notes, and then they all can move the sticky notes from their end as well. All right, what else is amazing about this? Dragging and dropping images really easily. Actually, do I have something prepared for this? Here, let me see. What do I have here? I actually was just creating something, but let's just, for example, drag a logo from my desktop on here. Okay, well, this is not one, does not want to work. Let me try this again. Let's start a new whiteboard, because what you're supposed to be able to do is just drag and drop an image on here. It worked earlier, so I'm not sure why this is not working anymore. And a moment ago, I did have an image option to upload images. So looks like Zoom is updating something or working on this whiteboard right at the moment where I was doing this video. I honestly am swearing to God, a moment ago on that toolbar, there was an image icon that is not visible right now. And I was able to simply drag and drop images into this whiteboard. Well, I hope that Zoom is going to fix that bug and bring that back really soon. And let's, for us, jump into the next thing, which is editing lines and shapes. So in here, and this is not something new, we can create different lines. You can also choose the arrows, which are pretty cool. And actually, I'll create some shapes as well, just so we see the different things we can do. And here's the cool part. After you've created them, you can still choose, do I want to make this kind of semi-transparent? Do I want to make it filled? I can change the colors. Again, I can duplicate and change the order. And this is what happens with the lines. I can afterwards change, let's say, the property. I can make it thicker. I can make it a dotted line. I can make one side an arrow or just keep it flat. So you can do all of these settings afterwards, which really allows for some creative visual mind mapping and connecting of objects. And there's one other cool thing that happens here if I create some text, or even with a post-it. Here is some text. Whoa. Should practice my spelling for these live videos. And let's see. Maybe this is another feature that is now not working. It was working on another board. So let's start this again, and I'll hopefully be able to show you this on here, which is also a really cool activity that you can try, which is the picture challenge. And originally I was very excited to have everyone find a animated GIF and drag it on here And then we have these fun GIFs that are animated, but I've realized that Zoom has not allowed animated GIFs to work yet. So you can only add images, but no animated ones. Maybe that's also something that they're fixing, and maybe soon we will have animated images. And then there was another option for me that again does not seem to appear right now. This is really strange. It feels like they have just added or changed a couple of things in this app. Actually, because this is live, we are going to explore something. I have a small suspicion. So we can use these whiteboards within the Zoom meeting, but you can also use it with the desktop client and even on the website. So there's 3 different places that you can access those whiteboards. If I switch over to, hold on, let me actually find the right place. If I switch over to this view, in the Zoom app, we also have the whiteboards button up here, and I have a feeling that in here we have a few more options to do things. So let's test this right now. So here I do have my image button where I can easily select images from my my desktop. Let me actually start with the new one and show you another activity that you could try with the whiteboard. So I'm going to select, oh, I already created a bunch of things in here, but let's just add an image, make that really nice and big. This is what I call the personal weather report. And for this, I would share this image in a meeting and then have every participant circle the one that most resonates with them, or maybe we can even use the highlighter. And you should then, after a while, we can also change the color, see which ones have been circled the most and which emotions are present, at least in the metaphor of a weather report in your meeting, and then adjust how you're facilitating it. So this is a way we can simply add images. And let me see if I can here drag and drop something on here. So that works really easily. I'll delete it again. So as you can see, in the Zoom client, we have a few more features that we didn't have in the meeting itself, which is something that I hope Zoom will add at a later point, because there's some cool things that we can do here. And I'm still trying to see if, right, now that I've selected this text, let me make it nice and big for you. It has these little balls on the side. When I drag this, it actually turns into this little line with an arrow. And now I can point that at different things and it will automatically adjust. So if you wanted to connect a couple of different objects, if I had, if I was creating, let's say, for example, a flow chart, I should be able to connect all of these elements to each other. And if you go close, it actually snaps in, which is kind of nice. And now when I move this element around, it actually the arrow stays connected and moves around with it. So there's some really cool small details that you are able to do in this desktop client, but not in the Zoom app. But I think let's jump back into what are the things that I love about this before we go on the challenges. And let me remove this part. So it does work on an iPad, which is really cool. So anybody that is using, let's say, for example, the Apple Pen and wants to draw things on the iPad, that is much better than drawing with a mouse, can now do that. So let me jump in and just show you. If I just select the drawing pen and I tried to draw a, let's use this box here. Let's try to draw a smiley in this box with my mouse. Whoops, now I clicked one too many times. this is how it would look like. Let me admit my iPad, and I'm going to take my Apple Pen, and here also zooming in is so much easier because I can just pinch. And let's see if I just create a little, oh, I need to move you over here so you see the difference. Create a little smiley on my iPad with my pen. Okay, not perfect. I'm not a great artist, but I would say much easier if you were going to write something. Like all of these things are now way easier to do now that you have an iPad that can be connected. All right. Last thing, it is very easy to share a whiteboard from within the meeting. As I showed you earlier, you just find the little whiteboard button on the bottom. You can create a new one. You see all of your own whiteboards on here. And then you just make sure that you select the right options. If you want participants to have access after the meeting, make sure this checkbox is clicked. And if you want participants to edit, make sure that it says edit and not just view. Click open and collaborate. And your whiteboard is loaded up. So lots of cool things, but there's definitely some challenges, things that I wish Zoom would update, and things that I'm actually organizing from smallest challenges to largest challenges at the end. So make sure that you stick around for the last few things on this list. I already said no GIFs, so not a deal breaker, would be great. If we could add images or GIFs in the meeting and drag and drop them the same way I did with the desktop client. Doesn't work in the meetings yet. That would be a really cool feature. Moving on the board. Yes, so there are some challenges, especially if you compare it to the way people move around in other digital whiteboard tools like Miro and Mural, where you have a really big space. Let me open up a new whiteboard and show you what I mean. So what would be great if I could just click and drag my mouse to move. Now I created a line, but even if I'm in the select one, I can't move. But the cool thing is I can select a bunch of objects at the same time, but I can't really move around. Also zooming in and zooming out. So my mouse scroll goes up and down. If you hit the Shift key and scroll, then it goes side to side. And if you hit the Command key, at least that's what it's supposed to do in the app. Again, I think this is happening in here, right? If you're in the desktop client, you hit the Command key and on a Mac, and then you can zoom in. In the meeting itself, that doesn't work, so you have to use the little buttons down here, and that just makes moving around a little bit cumbersome if I wanted to check, oh, what's happening on the side. Because the cool thing is, we now have a lot of space. We're not really restricted by the four sides of this whiteboard, so you can add things to the side and expand the board, at least to some extent. But just moving quickly in and out is a bit cumbersome because you need to like center something. Takes a bit of time. The next thing is it does require every participant that wants to edit, including the host, to have the most recent Zoom update from I think it's a week and a half ago, mid-April 2022. If they don't have the update installed, they will still be able to see the whiteboard, but they won't be able to engage or interact with it. And same thing is true if you are on a phone. Mobile whiteboards are not supported yet. You can see them currently, but again, you can't edit and engage with it. The iPad though, and probably other tablets work fine, and that's actually a great experience. I think if I'm planning to use my whiteboard in meetings, I will always have my iPad there, so I can move around a little bit easier. And the next one is probably one of the biggest challenges. And for this, we're going to have a look at the website settings, because if you don't have them set up correctly, you're going to run into a lot of challenges. It actually took me over a week and talking to Zoom customer support several times to figure this out. So I'm going to show with you the settings, so it will save you a headache, I hope. All right, we are in the Zoom settings on the website, and there is on the top here a new whiteboard section where you can change some easy options of allow export whiteboard content. But what we actually want to look for is a few other settings. So I'm going to use the search bar on the top to type in whiteboard, and it will show that we do have access to the classic whiteboard still enabled. So the whiteboard, what was available before, is still there. It just has an additional option for the new whiteboard now. So if you wanted to disable the old one, you want to make sure that this is switched off. And then for the new whiteboard, there are some settings that we need to look at, which are not in these settings, but in account management and account settings. So this is a place that you only have access to if you are the account owner, meaning if you are using Zoom on a organization account or a business account where maybe your IT person or your supervisor is the admin, they will have to enable this for you. Again, I'm going to use my search bar at the top to find some options. And in here, the whiteboard, in-meeting whiteboard, the new one, needs to be enabled. If you want hosts and participants, or just the host being able to export the content as PDF and PNG, you want to turn that on here. And the most important one, where is it? It's actually not here. It is under whiteboard here, which is the white cloud sharing options. By default, this was set to only users in the same organization, meaning when I gave participants access in the meeting, they were able to edit and engage with it, no problem. But once the meeting was over and they tried to access the whiteboard, although I said make it accessible after the meeting ends, they got errors like forbidden or this board does not exist anymore, and they just couldn't access it. So as soon as I changed this setting down here, allowing sharing with anyone with a Zoom account, same organizations and external organizations, they were able to access it, and therefore sharing the whiteboard was actually possible outside of the meeting. So this is a setting that everyone needs to confirm before you use this. And this actually brings me to my last point, which is sharing to breakout rooms is a bit complicated. And I'll tell you what I mean. What I would love to do in my sessions is have all the participants in the main room. I will share the whiteboard. I will share an activity. Let's actually pick one that is a specific example. Like if I did want to do the picture challenge, which I'm realizing now they can't actually do within the meeting anyway, but I wanted them to have access to this and find an image that good leadership looks like. I would then open up my breakout rooms, and once I sent them to the room, I would love for them to just open up the same board and being able to edit it. Unfortunately, within Zoom, when I share my whiteboard, they're only able to open up their own whiteboard. So they could create a new whiteboard, which means if I'm adding any information that is important on there, I can't share it with them so they can open it within there. They have to click a link. So if I click share up here and copy this link, and then share that in my chat. Then when participants click this link, it will open up the Zoom website, and there they can access the Zoom whiteboard and they can add images and they can do all the work there. But I wish that they could stay within the Zoom platform and I don't have to send them to a browser anymore, because that's really what I was hoping all of this new whiteboard would avoid and maybe make it more powerful than some of the other digital whiteboard tools out there. I'm actually a huge fan of Google Jamboards because it's really easy to understand. The tools are similar to Zoom's whiteboard, and you don't need an account or need to be logged in to be able to access it. And if I'm sending participants to a website, I might as well keep using this one. So why change it with the Zoom one? So I'm still torn. I'm still going to be experimenting. If you are using any of the tools like Miro and Mural, I am pretty sure you're going to stick with those. There are also the Zoom apps that integrate a little bit nicer. It takes a bit of setup in the beginning, but once you have your users onboarded and they know how it works, they're going to be using that way more efficiently than having to click to a website and coming back to their Zoom meeting. So in closing, there is probably some people that are going to replace all of these whiteboards and start using the new Zoom one. But for most of us, it'll probably be something that we still have to wait for a couple of things to get better. Like there's still some bugs that I have noticed every once in a while. So if you are in here and you have other people here and you want to make them a permanent owner or want to change them from an editor to an owner, it's a little bit buggy, like the wheel keeps spinning but nothing happens. There's other things that I have encountered that maybe are just bugs that will be fixed in the coming days or weeks. So if you are planning to use the Zoom whiteboard, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what other challenges you're encountering, what you love about it. And if you want to watch my other video about the top 5 countdown timers to use in Zoom, you want to make sure to check out that video up here. All right, see you soon.